Hi, I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to talk about the macros involved in the ketogenic diet, and we're going to dive into a tour of my favorite food logging software, which is called Cronometer. We're going to go over how to set it up for your keto diet, how to calculate your macros, how to log your food, and a number of different hacks for logging your food to make the process faster. And we're also going to talk about how to get all of my recipes inside of Cronometer automatically, which is really awesome. So let's get started. So I'm going to show you first how to do this on a desktop computer. I do recommend getting this set up on a desktop or laptop just so that you have full functionality. Then you can switch over to the app for your daily logging if that's most convenient for you. So I'm going to go ahead and sign up for free. I'm going to put my email address in here and a password. And then down here you have a few questions to answer. So go ahead and answer these, and I'm just going to put in some information, and you're going to agree to the terms of service and create account. So now you're going to need to go into your email. And you can see here this was in my updates folder, so you might have to look for it. You're just going to click the link to validate. Okay, so now you can see we're inside of Cronometer. So we're going to go ahead and start by finishing setup. So we're going to come over here to where you see your email address, and we're going to go to account settings. So here's a few things. Right now we have a free account, which will show us advertisements, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. And here you can, if you don't want to get emails from them, you can uncheck this. Totally up to you. And I kind of like this remind me feature. So I like to set this for lunchtime. So that's totally up to you when you want to set it. It's just going to let you know, hey, time to log your stuff. All right, so over here under body details. So here's the information that we entered already, and it's already going to calculate our BMI, which is right here, and our basal metabolic rate. And if you want to know more about that, so you can click on it and learn a little bit more about BMR. This is basically the very minimum amount of calories that your body needs to function. We won't dive into that too much today. All right, so then you're going to see drop down some different equations. Just go ahead and keep with this equation. So you can see here for someone who's 5'5" and 189 pounds, the absolute minimum amount of energy that this person needs on a daily basis is 1,628 calories. So this is really, if you're laying in bed all day just surviving, this is how much your body needs. So I like to keep activity level at sedentary, preferably. Sometimes even none. If you are using like a Fitbit or something like that you're going to connect with Cronometer, then set it at none. If you aren't tracking your activity, which is totally fine, then go ahead and start it with sedentary unless you have a very active job, and then so like you're on your feet all day, you're walking around, go ahead and set that to moderately active. So I'm just going to go ahead and do sedentary and keep it there. So here we can add a friend, and we're going to come back to this later. I'm going to skip over it for now. And next we're going to look at our weight goal. So I'm going to go ahead and click show weight goal in diary so I can show you what this looks like. And let's say this person wants to lose weight. And we're going to just go, when you're doing keto, you want to be gentle with your weight loss. The weight loss is going to happen. You don't need the calorie deficit that you've been programmed to think you need. And actually, in the beginning, I recommend no calorie deficit at all. I recommend you eat exactly what you need. All right, now we're into weight goal. And I'm going to go ahead and show the weight goal in the diary so you can see what that looks like. And down here, we're going to set ourselves to maintain weight. We're not going to do a calorie deficit for the first 4 weeks of keto because we want to allow our body to adapt and begin to heal its metabolic pathways. Now, that said, don't be thinking, oh, well, I'm not going to lose weight if I don't have a calorie deficit. You are going to lose weight. This has been proven time and time again. You actually want to stay at the maintain weight calorie goal because you want to allow your body to learn new processes, you want it to heal, and you want it to get really good at metabolizing fat. That way, a little bit further down the road, we can start playing with the calorie deficit. In 4 weeks, you'll be to the point where you're not hungry, you don't have the cravings, and that's when we want to start playing with the calorie deficit, not when we're getting started. Okay, now we're going to come down here to nutritional targets, and you can see that there's custom. You can turn things off or on. So I like to see everything, and you can see that warning came up, which is fine. So I like to see everything. So I like to turn it all on. And you're going to get some warnings for some of things, just saying that there's not a lot of information in their database, and that's totally fine. I'm not so... We'll put added sugars on there. We'll put sugar alcohols on there just for informational purposes. Protein. And again, this is totally up to you. My preference is I just want to see everything, and then I can get rid of things that I don't think I'm using. All right, finally, macronutrients. So this is the macros, and I'm going to click Show Full Macronutrient Breakdown. And so this is defaulted to just kind of a normal diet. So we're going to come in here and go high-fat ketogenic. And in the beginning, we're going to go rigorous. You want to be rigorous in the beginning. And I'm going to leave include sugar, alcohols, and net carb not checked. And I'm going to use net carbs. Now here, if you're an athlete, if you are an endurance athlete, if you do a lot of heavy lifting, you can play around with turning this athletic bonus on and off, which I think, so that would be more of a moderate, and you can see how these change. So a relaxed might be more you're in a maintenance phase, or moderate, and that's really just going to depend on your body. But when we get started, we want to start with rigorous. All right, and so I mentioned like the Fitbit, like we have a Nokia scale, so it actually, you can link the accounts. So if you have a Fitbit or a Jawbone or Garmin or Polar, you can go ahead and link your accounts, and that's going to pull in your daily activity, weight, whatever your Fitbit is giving you, it's going to pull that into the diary automatically, which is cool. So everything's automatically saved here as you're going through and making these changes. So now we're going to come over to diary. So just a quick overview before we add anything. Up here is where all of our food and information is going to be listed. And there's a few changes we can make. So let's go to diary settings. So if you want to, you can group your meals into different groups. I generally don't do that because it's just one more thing I have to remember to do. And then I changed this last column in the diary actually to carbs, because especially when you're just starting a ketogenic diet, or if you haven't logged your food before on a ketogenic diet, there's a lot to learn here. So maybe 1 week you want to look at carbs, and maybe another week you want to come in and you want to look at how much look at how much fat you've got in your diet, so you can change it to fat. So, but for today, I'm going to show you carbs because I recommend starting there. All right, and so now it told us, I don't know if it'll let us do this on the free one or not, but this is a good We will be talking about gold. Okay, so this is just for gold, and I'm going to talk to you about that in just a few minutes, so bear with me. All right, so down here we have our calories summary. And this is where we can enter our glucose readings or our ketone readings. And then down here are all of our nutrients. So you can see there's a lot of information there. And you can see that we have advertisements popping up, and that's because we have the free edition. All right, so staying with the free edition, I'm going to come in here to add food. And so once you start entering information, you're going to have things pop up here in the common foods, and you can add favorites by clicking the star icon next to the add serving button. So you can find different restaurants here. You can look things up by brand. And then here in custom is where you're going to find anything that you've set up as a custom food. So sometimes you can't find a specific food, and that's when you would use custom food. So let's just go in and let's say that we had a cup of coffee. So here's where you can add to favorites. So you can just hit that star to add it to favorites. You're going to add coffee, and see coffee does have a little bit of carbs. I have done some research on it, and I don't think it's that many. Oh, that's calories. It does have a few carbs in it, which I will show you once we switch over. All right, and then we're gonna go with heavy whipping cream. Let's say we had a tablespoon. So down here it says want better data. We found a similar food with 76 listed ingredients. If you're like me and you want to really track your micronutrients, so all the smaller nutrients we have at the bottom, then you'd want to switch over here. If you're not looking at that, you can certainly leave it. Okay, so now we have a little bit of information in here. We can see we've consumed 56.5 calories. And so down here, we can see where those are falling. And so here's where you're going to see your macros, this nice little circle. I absolutely love this and how Cronometer does this. So I can see right now I've eaten 85.2% fat, 7.6% protein, and 7.2% carbs. Okay, so this is where we want to aim for. So we want to aim for 75% fat, so anywhere from 70 to 80% is good. Protein, we want to be around 15%. You can actually go a little bit lower. And again, you already set your macros based on your body. So this is just in general. And 5 to 10% net carbs. And we're going to get more into fasting blood sugar and ketones a little bit later. All right, so you can see we're well within we're doing great so far. So now let's go ahead and add lunch. So let's say we're going to have some salmon. We're going to have 4 ounces of salmon. And we cooked that with some coconut oil. We used a tablespoon of coconut oil when we cooked that, and some spices, but we're not going to enter the spices unless you really want to get granular. So now let's see where we're at. So now we're at 65.8% fat. So we're actually a little bit low on fat. And this is where something like a fat bomb can come in handy. We're at 33.2% protein, so we're a little bit too high on our protein. But our carbs are great. Our net carbs are super low. You could add a fat bomb to this meal. Maybe you want to add a serving of walnuts. We'll do an ounce of walnuts. All right, so then you can come back down here. So you're at 71.5% fat, 25% protein, and 3.5% carbs. So you can see how tracking what you're eating helps you make adjustments throughout the day. And this is important as you're starting to train your body to become fat adapted. And fat adapted means that you want your body to learn how to burn fat for fuel and get away from burning the glucose for fuel. And it does take at least 2 days to become fat adapted and get into a state of ketosis. All right, so scrolling down here, you can see the nutrients are starting to fill in. So you can kind of start to see how this could be helpful. Now, this is based on the recommended daily allowance. So you need to take some of this with a grain of salt. Literally. Okay. So I want to show you a few more things before we switch over to a little bit more advanced things. So if you come over here to foods, you can see your top foods are coming here, and this is where you can create a new food. So you can go right off of the label if you're coming off of a package and just create a new food. Or maybe you found a recipe online and it's got nutrition fact information. Instead of having to enter the whole recipe, you can just enter the information in right here. You can also create recipes in here, and I do this. So you can categorize it. You can put notes in, of course, name it. Serving sizes, I'll just show you this. I should have showed it on the other one. So the measure is 1 serving. So let's say we want to say this is 1 cup. And this recipe makes 12 servings. So that's how you do that. It's 1 cup, or maybe it's half of a cup. So that'd be half cup. And this can be changed to any measurement you want. And you can add more than 1 as well. And then how many servings. And then down here you can go between a full recipe and a half of a recipe. So to add ingredients, you can come in here and just add your ingredients, and you'll see that it's going to start filling in the information for your full recipe. And then when you get done, you just want to save changes. Again, profile is where you get back to your setup. And then there's a whole help section where you can, watch some different video tutorials and go through their user manual, read their blogs, and they have forums and so on and so forth. So now I'm going to log out of this free account, and I'm going to show you Chronometer Gold. So this is my husband's profile, and he has Chronometer Gold. So now you notice all the ads are gone. You also have a link here where you can get the Android and iPhone app, which is convenient. And then if we come into our diary settings, we can change over to carbs. So now if we add these things, so now we can see there's a few carbs in coffee, and there's there's 0.41 carbs in heavy whipping cream. So I really like to see this information. You can also come down here, and this is the Oracle. You can click Suggest Foods. So it's going to suggest foods based on what you're eating. So you can just add things right to there. Chicken liver for breakfast sounds good, doesn't it? But probably the most beneficial thing out of Gold, in my opinion, is if you click over here on Custom and you type in my name, all of my recipes will come up right here if you've added me as a friend. So let's say we were talking about that fat bomb earlier, and you wanted to add the fat bomb. Boom, it's in there. You didn't have to put the recipe in. You didn't have to do any custom foods. So how do you get that set up? It's really easy. You go back to your account settings after you've updated to Chronometer Gold, and you can see here that I've been added as a friend. And so this is my email address for adding as a friend. And this is going to tell me it's already done, but what's going to happen when you hit OK is it'll say it's pending my acceptance. So if you do this, comment below on this video so that I know to go in and accept your friend request, and then you'll have access to all of my recipes and all of the custom foods that I've entered. So you probably, let's go back to the diary. So for example, some of the supplements I take, like Young Living Master Formula, that's over here in custom and can be added And this is nutrients, of course. So anything that I've added is going to show up in this bright blue color. And then if you want to see my recipes, you can search for something specific or just go with Tara, because I put Tara's Keto Kitchen behind all of my recipes. So that's really convenient. So some of the other things you get with Gold are, you can copy the previous day, which I think might be a free version, and you get more information on your nutrients. So if you come down here to the bottom, this nutrient balances section comes up. So here you can see your ratio of omega-6 to omega-3s, of zinc to copper, of your potassium to sodium, which this can be important on a keto diet, and your calcium and magnesium. And if you click here, you can adjust these. You can also do the alkalinity, which is interesting. So this will tell you how acidic or alkaline your diet is. And then you can also highlight different nutrients. Okay, so I want to show you how. So if you want to add a glucose reading, so let's say we took our fasting blood glucose this morning and it was 93, and we used our breath ketone meter to test and it was 0.04. So what I like to do, if it's fasting, is just move it to the top, because you might test these throughout the day. So this would actually be a good use case for using your, so you could add a group and you could say fasting just going to do something generic here. So you could also do something like that to make it easier for yourself to read. Okay. So again, your macros are here. And you can come in here and see general activity. It's giving you 391.8, and BMR is giving him 1959. You can also click up here to see where you are with your percentages. And you can edit your targets right in here if you wish. And you can see over here some things that are coming in. So this, I said we had a Nokia scale, so this is where the weight would come in here. Calories, you can see a history. And you can change, you know, if you want to look at 6 months or whatnot. And then here's your link to get your apps. So now if you come over here to trends, with Gold, you're going to get extra charts. And I like to look at this nutrition report. So you can look at averages. Just look at 1 day. And you can include supplements or take supplements away. And you can go through and just kind of look at where you are as far as what you're eating, and the things that you're low on kind of give you an idea of how you need to customize your supplementation regimen. So I find this to be very helpful, especially when I'm working with clients, so that we can dig in and do a deep dive into what we're missing. You can do this like full report that has charts that print your diary. So if you're going to go visit someone like me, you're going to go visit with a health coach, or you need to take some information to a nutritionist or your doctor, this is very helpful to be able to generate this full report. And so here you can add snapshots. So this might be, you want to take photos and put it in here. And so here, this is what it's really used for, and how to take good body photos. So you can click in here and learn about how to do that. And it's going to say, it's going to add exactly where you're at on that day when you add the snapshot. So this is very handy. And then of course your charts, which you see on the front page. So Cronometer, I am an affiliate for Cronometer because this is absolutely my favorite food tracking tool for keto. And I have tried a number of them, and this one comes out the clear winner. And so please use my affiliate link, which I will be posting below this video. I really appreciate you using that. It helps support all this information that I give to you for free. All right, so what else? Entering exercise. So if you're wearing a Fitbit, you're wearing, one of these things you've already hooked up, you probably don't need to enter exercise because it will automatically track. But if you're not, I'm going to mark the day incomplete, come back in here and add exercise. So you can do something generic. You can just go in weightlifting, aerobics. So here I just added high impact aerobics for 30 minutes. And you can see down here I put this little running man in kind of the gold color and gave us the calories for exercise. And that's based on weight, height, information you've already entered. You can also come in and add custom exercise. So maybe you wear a heart rate monitor and you track your workouts so you know more precisely how many calories you burned. So let's say I wore my heart rate monitor this morning and I did 30 minutes of yoga and that burned 100 calories. You can just add that just like that. And again, it's going to adjust down here. So there's a couple different ways to add in your exercise. Finally, you can also add a note. So I like to use this for things like how I'm feeling. So let's say I woke up and you can just add your note. And I kind of like to put that in order. So you can add notes throughout the day just to, so you can go back and look, say you do keto for 2 weeks and you want to go back and remember what your first week was like. You can go back and take a peek at that. So that can be pretty handy. You can also, document exactly what you did. I just made that up. I don't know if she actually has a heart flow, so that you know what you did. That's an option. Of course, you can also put it in your custom description. So there's different uses for the notes. Some people like to track doctor's appointments or something like that. You can add notes under your tests here if you just want to say like what time of day it was when you did your reading, or put some more information in here. All right, so I promised you a few food log hacks. So one big one is copying the previous day. A lot of us tend to eat the same thing from day to day. So you can go and just copy previous day and that pops everything in. Then you can just come in here, right click on it, and you can delete. Maybe you didn't eat chicken liver for breakfast on Wednesday, so you can go ahead and go in and delete. And maybe you didn't do this exercise, you did the other, and then you can just click in here. Say this morning I was at 3 and my reading was 91. So you can just go in and make edits quickly and on the fly. Okay, a few more things I want to add you. We went over these biomarkers, but there are actually more biometrics you can add. You can go in here and add your weight. So let's say this morning my husband weighed 210. And his waist size was 32. So you can go in and add all these different sleep minutes. He had 7.5 hours of sleep. So all these things can be useful for tracking. You can go milligiggles. I love it. You can track your mood. You can track a lot of things up here. Now that you understand Cronometer, comment and tell me your thoughts and if I missed explaining anything here. That's it for today. See you next time.